You're about to watch an episode of Slightly Offsides, exclusive content from our Patreon and for all of our YouTube channel members. I hope you enjoy the show.
Green 18! Green 19! Touch!
Penalty marker on the other side of the field.
They said I was round up offside. Was I?
Sometimes, Horst, just sometimes you have to go slightly offsides. And we're offsides live today for the first time. We'll see how many people actually jump in and interact with us, but this is going to be a fun one. I'm looking forward to it.
I think everybody should jump in and interact with us. It's not every day you get me on the channel live.
You're making this about you?
Usually.
Yeah, that's pretty fair, actually. So, Horst, we're gonna have some fun conversations right now because, of course, mini camps are going on. So there's a lot of topics that are coming up, and so let's just get into that right away. Let's just get into mini camp. And so have you heard anything about like what's going on at mini camp? Are you excited that the 49ers are actually doing mini camp this year because they didn't do it last year?
I mean, it's kind of one of those things. I'm excited because it means football's that much closer, but I don't pay too much attention to what you hear. Outside of obviously praying there's no injuries to anyone important, that everyone's there, that everyone's healthy. Outside of that, I don't pay too much attention to it. I mean, I do read through what's going on in the reports and stuff, but I don't, live and die by this situation. They don't have pads on. It's basketball on grass.
Yeah, I mean, one of the biggest things is that fact that the 49ers are actually staying healthy this year. That has been a big topic of conversation, and so far the only thing we've heard is a little bit of hamstring tightness for Danny Gray. He's been working out with the gun, and they're, of course, resting him and kind of slowing things down. Were you surprised that the 49ers moved up minicamp a full week? It looked like it was going to be next week. OTAs were going to wrap up this week, then finish with minicamp, but Kyle Shanahan moved it up.
Yeah, I was surprised. I mean, I had thought it was next week all the way up until late last week when they said it got moved up. I mean, knowing Shanahan lynched that company, there is a very good reason why it happened. There's sound reasoning and logic behind pretty much everything they do. He doesn't have to explain it to everyone, but I'm sure there is, and it doesn't really make a difference when it is.
Yeah, that's true. It doesn't really make a difference when they have minicamp. But Kyle Shanahan kind of just said it's 3 more practices. He just looks at it as OTAs being 12 practices, 3 of those including minicamp. And he said he doesn't really like to do all those practices. In fact, he likes to, kind of do his own thing. So it wasn't too surprising that, that happened. But one thing, Horst, that could have surprised absolutely everyone was it's not Warriors time. But yet Deebo Samuel's still in town because Deebo showed up. Are you excited?
I mean, I guess it's better than if he didn't. But I'm not surprised by it. I was expecting him to be there. He never said he wasn't going to be there.
Yeah, that's true.
And the guy's going to lose $95,000 per day that he doesn't come. He's not stupid.
It's actually $95,000 for the entire minicamp.
Excuse me. I thought it was per
day. It kind of starts with like $17K, I think, for the first day. Then it escalates to like $40K, and then,
Excuse me. I thought it was $95 per day. I misread that.
Yeah.
But either way, I mean, Deebo was out there. He was on the field. He was getting loose. They showed him running a few routes, warming up with the teammates. And I think it just shows that he's going to play this year.
Yeah, and one thing he was doing today was mocking the defense. When the offense was making plays, he was having fun with D'Amico and the other players. And what Kyle Juszczyk said was this was just Deebo being Deebo. So Deebo's back to just being normal Deebo. Now, the one thing that was interesting, and even Jay Hill's the one that tagged us on Twitter, was that yesterday on Papa and Lund, they announced that Deebo Samuel had actually replaced the group that has been negotiating with the 49ers, his contract group, and that he's going with new representation. So there's hope now that the 49ers are going to be able to work out a deal with him. Do you think that's good? Because the guy represents A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown got traded. He represents DK Metcalf. Metcalf doesn't show.
Yeah, I definitely think it shows, and no disrespect to either of those two guys, however they want to handle it. It's their job, their life, their money. But it shows that maybe Deebo's a little more serious about getting on the field than those guys. He's a little bit more wanting to be there, wanting to be on the team he's on. And he probably saw, I mean, those were clearly failed tactics that guy used with the 49ers. He attempted to strong-arm them. The 49ers did not blink. And now Deebo stuck losing a lot of leverage. So I think it was smart of him to switch representation. That guy clearly failed him.
Yeah, I think it's smart too. I mean, Deebo Samuel is acting like a professional. He's showing up, and showing good faith to the 49ers that he wants to go ahead and get a deal done. And now it looks like the league is going to have 19 problems still wearing red and gold. And that's a good sign for us because we need Deebo out there snatching chains because this offense is definitely a lot more dynamic when you have a Deebo Samuel,
definitely,
on the team. But the only thing that did come out, and I can't remember for sure, which one of it was Schefter or whoever else,
maybe Rappaport.
Yeah, it could have been Rappaport, whoever, one of these guys that likes to be an insider, said that Deebo Samuel still, though, wants to play less running back, less in that, wide back role, but that he wants to play wide receiver more reps, and he wants to get paid like a wide receiver. Shocking, right? He wants to get paid like a wide receiver. That makes, a lot of sense. But are you concerned about that fact that maybe he doesn't want to play wide back anymore, that he wants to be, predominantly a wide receiver?
I can understand his thoughts on the process. The more you carry the ball from the backfield, the more you get hit.
Yeah.
And you only have so many hits in your career, especially in football. You're at some point, everybody, starts to lose a step, and running backs clearly lose them quicker than other positions. So when Deebo's not wanting to play that position, I do understand it, although I will still maintain the position that Deebo is not a $25 million guy if he's not playing the wide back role.
Really? You're going to stick? Yeah, I actually agree with you. I was just trying to give a little bit more drama to the show, but I actually agree with you. As a wide receiver, I don't see him as a $25 million player, but as a wide back, I see him as a $25 million player.
The way I put it to someone I was just having this conversation is...
Do I know them?
You do.
Okay, that makes it better
his
then.
His name is David.
Oh, well, that's a good one then.
The guy, is he a better wide receiver than Devontae Adams or Tyreek Hill or any? I know there's other guys that have just gotten those huge contracts. No, but he's a better football player.
Yeah, I mean, you could argue that he's one of the best overall football players in the entire league.
But if you're taking one of your strengths as a football player away, I'm fine with that if I'm Kyle Shanahan, and it's even understandable. But then you can't get paid like that because part of the reason people hold you in such high regard is the variety of roles you can play.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I think that's one of the things that always needs to be remembered when you're talking about these players is when you want to change one of the roles in which you are going to be operating on the field, and if it's a strength, you're probably not going to get paid the full amount at which you want to get paid. And I think that this has happened before in the past where you've had players, maybe that wanted to change their role or change their position, and then it didn't work out for them. And I think Deebo Samuel is pretty aware that mainly when it comes down to it, he's looking for future contracts and longevity that way. So he's worried about
getting hurt. Understandable.
Yeah, but in the same regard, you're right. I mean, he's just not worth the money if he doesn't go ahead and become one of those guys. And what is up, Jess? Welcome to chat. Appreciate you coming through.
Who's not?
You don't know her?
No.
Oh wow. Well, I'm sure she'll be more than willing to introduce herself later.
That'd be nice,
with a nice slap to the face and take you offsides. You know what I'm saying? But I think that when it comes down to it, Deebo Samuel conversation is kind of just what the media wants to do, and really we've all understood that this is business. This is how people go about their business and handling things. So I think that. When it comes down to it, this relationship's going to be fine. Kyle Shanahan's fine with Deebo Samuel. And I think even Kyle Shanahan knows he can't use Deebo Samuel in the complete capacity that he used him last year. So I think that's something that we're going to continue to monitor. But Deebo being back is a good sign, and maybe they'll get a deal done. So I'm kind of excited.
Yeah, I think they're fine. They'll get one done. There's at no point have the Niners flinched on him becoming a part of another team. He's going to stay there. And I think even Kyle would probably admit, if you were to talk to him in private, that he probably ran the ball too much last year.
Yeah, I think
with him.
Well, I think Kyle Shanahan knew in that situation that the only way that they were going to be able to get to the playoffs and do the things that they did was if Deebo was able to take over that role.
Yes.
It was never intended to be Deebo Samuel's role from the beginning when Deebo was drafted. It was supposed to be Jalen Hurd's role.
Yes.
Now, Kyle Shanahan had a vision for that, for a player to do that. And then when they got into this season and Raheem Mostert went down, the only one with the explosivity to be able to do things in the backfield, it was Deebo Samuel. The guy looks like he's straight got a rocket firing out of his ass when he's going from, his position to the line of scrimmage. It's absolutely impressive. The only guys I've seen that are shot out of a cannon like that are the extreme athletes like Raheem Mostert. So Deebo being used in that capacity was needed, and I don't think they get where they got without him.
Agreed.
But you can't do that overall every single season. So, yeah, I understand it.
And the Jaguars really screwed everyone by giving Christian Kirk $20 million a year.
Oh. You mean Trent Baalke screwed something up? You're shocked.
He's still screwing the Niners.
Yeah, he's one of those guys that's messing things up, and now the Rams give Aaron Donald $30 million for an interior defensive lineman. I mean, I know he's one of the best to do it in the league, but to me that makes me really nervous about Nick Bosa coming up next year, because Kyle Shanahan did discuss that Nick Bosa's contract team and the 49ers have decided to wait and discuss it later. So Nick Bosa's betting on himself. Does that make you a little bit nervous that Nick Bosa might want $35-40 million next year?
I mean, the cap is supposed to shoot up over the next couple of years, but yes.
Yeah, that's crazy. Why that used to be just quarterback money. Remember when we complained that Jimmy Garoppolo was making $27 million?
Well, I didn't complain.
Well, you didn't. I'm just saying, I meant in generalities, Horst. Wasn't pointing the ultimate finger at you.
I'm Team Jimmy.
Oh, you are. What does Team Jimmy consist of?
Me.
Oh, just you? You're all by yourself?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, do you have your own merch?
Not yet.
You're like Jimmy Army of One?
Mm-hmm.
I like that. Okay, well, we'll see how that works out for you. Another thing that came out this week during mini camps was Kyle Shanahan was talking about Dee Ford. And he talked about Dee Ford coming in for a physical next week and said he expects that he's going to be cleared because the doctors have given an all clear on him, his outside doctors. I was thinking, yeah. And then that was completely slashed in one moment when Kyle Shanahan said, I still don't foresee him being a part of the team in 2022. Did that surprise you? And
no.
Are you disappointed that Dee Ford won't be on the team?
I wouldn't say disappointed because I knew it was coming.
Yeah.
But yes, when I first figured out it was coming a little bit, it would have been nice to see Dee Ford get back to the Dee Ford of old. I just don't think his back's going to let that happen.
Yeah, I know. It's one of those things when you're dealing with a back and neck, I get really nervous about that. You're like, my neck, my back. I probably shouldn't finish that. Even though we're slightly offsides, I don't want to go that far. That's one of those things.
That is encroachment.
Yeah, that's definitely encroachment. Maybe illegal use of hands at some point. Who knows? But yeah, I mean, Dee Ford, he's one of those guys. The first step explosiveness off the edge is really nice, and the things he did in 2019 were impressive. But he's just hasn't been able to stay healthy since then. And you've noticed a difference. In 2020, that defense was absolutely slow off the edge. Kerry Hyder was the main guy. And no, Jess, I'm not going to finish that song. So sorry, you're not getting that. And then as far as, in 2020, he couldn't stay healthy. 2021, he comes back. He had 3 sacks last year in limited plays. But they just feel he's probably not going to, be able to do it again. And so I understand, them moving on from him. And Horst, who do you think is the most likely? We know Samson Ebukam spoke to the media today. We know he's probably going to be the starter opposite Nick Bosa. But when it comes to Dee Ford's role, because Dee Ford's role has definitely changed over the years, that third down guy that can come in and absolutely close it down, who's the guy on this roster you think is going to be that guy? Do you think it's going to be Ebukam? Do you think it's going to be Kamoko Toure? Do you think it's going to be Jordan Willis, Charles Omenihu? What are your thoughts?
I don't think that exact job is going to be taken. I think it's going to be a multitude of guys playing a little bit different roles between the guys you just mentioned, Toure, Omenihu, Ebukam, Kerry Hyder, guys like that. I don't think any of them have exactly Dee Ford's skill set, but they're all very good players.
Yeah, and then one of the conversations, and D'Amico Ryans looked a little bit perturbed when he was asked, was about Charles Omenihu playing defensive tackle. I think he didn't really want people talking about the fact that his defensive ends are going to be playing inside and that there's going to be a lot of movement there. And I think he didn't want a Minihue to be already coined as the Arden Key type role that we saw last year. And so he kind of looked frustrated. In fact, there was a couple times he made some weird faces in the interviews today, but that was one of them. And one of the conversations has been Kerry Hyder potentially moving inside and playing D tackle. Do you think that's something the 49ers should do?
On rundowns or just on pass downs?
Just in general.
I don't really want to see Hyder inside unless it's pass downs.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he can do it. But my personal opinion would be that you only want to see him inside on for sure passing downs.
Yeah, so you're ready for him just to be one of those kind of guys.
I think he's going to... Well, I think he can play end and against the run. But I think he would struggle interior against the run. Yeah,
I think that's a good point. The 49ers have a lot of defensive linemen, and Nick Bosa said they're going to have to leave some extra spots for this defensive line because it's going to be fantastic. And Horst, another thing that came up this week was once again the center position, of course, with Alex Mack retiring, is at the forefront. And Kyle Shanahan is talking about Brendel and Brunskill, the B&B boys. Which one of these guys, because they both got nice things said about them by Trent Williams and Kyle Shanahan, do you believe is the most likely to be the center?
I don't know.
Wow. Thanks.
Brunskill, brings a lot of veteran experience to the table. Brendel hasn't played very much football. I did think it was super interesting. I never knew this when they talked about Brendel testing out in the high in the 90th percentile.
Yeah.
For as far as athleticism, strength, all that stuff for a center. I never knew that he was that athletic.
Yeah, I thought that was some really interesting news, and welcome KNDR to chat. Yeah, business just picked up. Said YouTube is lacking on the notifications. Shocking. I mean, that's got to be why there isn't just several thousand people in chat right now, Horst. That's what I'm thinking.
I figured.
But you're right. Some of the things that they said about Brendel and the athletic ability coming out in 2016 was impressive. The other thing that they brought up, too, was him being with Forrester in Miami. So he's a Forrester guy. Do you think that's going to help him be able to take over the center job? And the fact that when Trent Williams said he talks to him, he said Brendel's like a coach. He understands the entire offense.
I still worry about him just because he's been in the league a while, and he still hasn't really got much playing time.
Yeah.
And the Niners aren't the only team he's been on.
That's true.
So, I mean, I'm not saying he can't do it. Obviously, he was behind a very good center in Alex Mack last year. So to be Alex Mack's backup is definitely not a negative or bad thing. But I'm curious. I'm really not sure. I haven't seen Brendel play enough.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things no one...
But his inexperience does scare me.
Yeah, right. There's inexperience along the offensive line, including Aaron Banks as well. And Brunskill's in this, and my thought process has been Brunskill at right guard. Mm-hmm. It makes a lot of sense for the 49ers.
Agreed.
But do you think... some people believe move Brunskill to center and just go with the best overall guard spot. Do you think weakening the guard spot for Brunskill to go center is a good idea?
No, I don't. I think a huge part of offensive line is continuity, and I think the more guys you can leave at the position they've been playing, the better. I realize sometimes you have to do it, that kind of thing. But at the same time, I don't think Brunskill is better enough than Brendel.
Better enough, yes.
Did I say better enough? Is enough better?
Enough better.
Is that how you would word that?
I don't know. I think you might want to rephrase the entire thing. Just start over for the beginning of the entire argument.
Don't think that Brunskill is a better as... Well,
the good news is...
threw me off now.
I'm sorry, Horst. Well, the good news is after this, you can go represent Amber Heard because you're... as good as her attorneys.
Because I really shit the bed?
Something like that, a nice poo on the bed with the Amber Turd, apparently. So, yeah.
I don't think that Brunskill is very much better than him.
Very much
If he is better.
Yeah. I don't know. Somebody's going to have to help us with the exact way to say it.
You know what I'm saying. It makes me mad.
I know what you're saying. I think it's wonderful, in fact. I mean, it's delicious. I'm eating it up. I want to put like a big topping of whipped cream on it and just go crazy. Yeah, it was delicious, Hori.
This show is derailed. Maybe we need to go back to nighttime.
Yeah, something like that. These midday shows may not work. So we'll see.
And Jessica, he's a lot better.
It's crazy. And Horst, I wanted to go back to minicamp a little bit because I think that there's a couple of conversations we haven't had yet. Because D'Amico Ryans, you're a Hufanga guy. You love yourself some Huff. He said today when he's talking about Jimmy Ward, about Hufanga and Jimmy Ward playing so well together, he didn't talk about any other safety. He talked about them as a pair in a tandem. Do you think you think it's going to be Hufanga?
Sounds like it's the plan.
Wow, that's it. It just sounds like it's the plan.
From everything I've read, everything they've put out, and now him talking like that today, it sounds like Hufanga is going to have every opportunity to earn that job.
Great. That's you. one. Yeah, it does, right? It does sound like it's going to...
To be honest, I usually don't last very long.
Yeah. I'm not surprised. Horse comes up short. No one even knows that there's a booster seat under you just so you can be up here almost as tall as me or you wouldn't fit in the screen. Wow. So anyways, yeah, Hufanga looks like more and more like he's going to be the guy at safety next to Jimmy Ward, which would mean, like you were talking about last week, that you don't feel that Jaquiski Tartt is an actual option for the San Francisco 49ers now. It's looking less and less likely, so...
Yeah, I think there would have been some sort of news on them at least talking if the Niners were thinking about bringing him back.
We're off the rails again. Horse goes off the rails all the time.
What?
Yeah.
Me?
It hasn't been me at all.
Have you seen my drawings?
I've been trying to steer this ship right down the middle.
Right down the middle?
Yeah. And you keep taking it off course.
Right down the middle.
Right down the middle. Yeah. I want to talk about one more thing. Because we do need to get into your schedule selections at some point.
I've never been told that.
I know. Well, I just said
pick them right now.
I don't want you to pick them right now.
Right now.
I don't think you're ready.
Right now.
But I do want to ask you this. Which game do you think is the toughest game for the 49ers to win of the schedule right now as a precursor to what people are going to see when you make your picks?
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of tough games.
Yeah, but like, what's the one that stands out?
The one that stands out as a must-win is winning in Seattle. They can never seem to pull it off. A sweep of Seattle would be huge.
That would be huge, yeah. Yeah, so I think that's a good one. I really do. And you know, this has been a good episode, Horst. Have you enjoyed Slightly Offsides this time?
No, I haven't, because I can't stop thinking about that Mexican pizza.
So now you're just worried about Mexican pizzas.
They won't have them back till September.
Is that what they said?
That's the rumor.
Wow, that's
the word on the street.
I don't know what word on the street and who you go to for these words. If you could find out more about 49ers and less about Mexican pizzas, I think that would be that'd be wonderful. But you know what I mean? You got food on the brain, apparently. Taco Bell seems to be the poison of choice. So well done there. But anyways, yeah, we'll be back next week with another great episode of Slightly Offsides. This one derailed very quickly. I'm anyways, I'm going to go ahead and move on. Thank you so much for watching the wonderful episode of Slightly Offsides. It was good to have live chat for the first time, Horst.
It was.
I'm looking forward to having more channel members and patrons involved in our live chat. I think that'll be a lot of fun. But next week, there's going to be a lot of fun conversations because minicamp is going to be over. I want to get into some of Horst picks for the games. Maybe we'll break into like the first half. The first half of the schedule and break down those picks. Okay, yeah, we'll wait for that next week. We don't want to do that right now, so we'll wait for that.
We want to leave you on the edge of your seats from this episode.
That's right. You got to give the people, something to remember. So we're gonna get into that next week. That'll be a lot of fun, and then we'll have some other cool topics, Horst. But I'm excited for next week. Just like Deebo Samuel, here to stay with the 49ers because he came back to minicamp.
And Talanoa Hufanga at strong safety.
It appears Talanoa Hufanga is going to be the strong safety. But we'll see. Tavarius Moore still sitting there right behind him, waiting.
And just like Slightly Offsides is here to stay.
Yeah, Slightly Offsides is here to stay. I'm looking forward to the next conversation. That's going to be a lot of fun. So thanks everyone that came through the chat. And make sure you check out, our show that we're going to be doing about mini camp at 5 o'clock. Alex will be here, and we're going to have a fun conversation. So I'll be excited about that. Horst is going to be on the football field. He's going
I'm going to have to be watching.
Oh, you're going to be watching now. Horst was supposed to be coaching, but apparently he's going to be watching the show because you can't miss me and my guy Alex.
I can't miss you.
Yeah. There you go.
Can't miss it.
And then right here on Patreon on Thursday, you can catch the second episode of Hit or Miss with me and Heather.
That's a good show, and I've seen this episode. You do not want to miss.
Yeah,
it's definitely a hit.
It is it's a good one. And Horst did get a sneak preview of the episode, so Horst says to come check it out. You should come check it out too. It's going to be a lot of fun.
I think we went real offsides today.
We definitely did. We'll get it back on track.
We might have left the field.
Maybe. We'll get it back on track next week, and it'll be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to getting into some 49ers topics, adding a little humor on top. But thanks, everyone, for joining us, and we'll catch you on the next one. Have a good night. You just watched Slightly Offsides. It's available on Patreon and for all channel members. If you would like to check out more original content like this, including more episodes of Slightly Offsides or Big Yikes, Cutback, 49ers Cutback in Time, also Hit or Miss, hop over to our Patreon, check that out. Become a channel member right here on YouTube today. Thank you for watching. Hope you have a great day.